ABC774. You're with Rafael Epstein.
Do you have a German white-haired pointer? Do you know someone who owns a German?
74774. You're with Rafael Epstein.
Do you have a German white-haired pointer? Do you know someone who owns a German white-haired pointer? Early this morning at Neerim Junction in Gippsland, a 14-month-old girl died. She was attacked by a German Wirehaired Pointer. The council's seized the dog, of course. The police are looking into it. The council is trying to do what they can. Your thoughts, of course, go out to the family. I don't know anything about that breed of dog. Brad Griggs does. He's a dog behaviour expert. Good afternoon, Brad.
Afternoon, Raf.
What do you know about a German Wirehaired Pointer?
It's a shame to be talking about this wonderful breed. Given the tragic circumstances, your heart has to go out to that family. But the German Wirehaired Pointer is essentially, as the name implies, a pointer, so it's involved in hunting. So retrieving game is one of its main duties. So from a tradition standpoint, they tend to be nice, stable dogs that, rock solid nerves that work underneath a shotgun going off and work happily all day, very tractable, want to be around their owners. They typically make wonderful companions.
I've got a text. I work in a vet clinic. We see people all the time who get high energy breeds of dogs and keep them in a home setting and don't train them. They're usually out of control and aggressive towards other dogs. A German Wirehaired Pointer is a hunting dog that needs a lot of discipline and a lot of exercise. Do you agree with much of that text?
People often talk about dogs needing discipline as a misnomer as a descriptor for the fact that the dog just hasn't received sufficient training. I have client after client, as do my colleagues and contemporaries, that have high-energy dogs in homes, Raf, but the trick is what you do with them. You can't ignore any dog and expect a dog to behave well or fit in well. They require an investment, and typically speaking, you get from dogs what you put in. So if someone has a well-adjusted family dog, they've probably put quite a bit of effort into that dog. If it's also very obedient and responsive to them,
surely there are more aggressive breeds.
Raf, there's a strong media pushed agenda towards certain breeds being aggressive. Aggression is not a very heritable trait in and of itself. You may have elements of the dog's character that lend itself towards feelings such as fear that prompt it rather to take an instinctive response to a situation. This is the purpose of training. So through training, proper socialisation and habituation, particularly in the younger stage of the dog, but ongoing, it allows us to change the dog's opinion, I guess, about...
Can I flip it around, Brad? Let me maybe ask the question this way. And I wanted to tell you that you're a dog behaviour expert. I'm not. I've got the experience of the few dogs I've grown up with and the one that lives with us now. But a 14-month-old girl has died, and we're talking about German Wirehaired Pointers.
Yes.
I get that a dog is violent if they're mistreated or they're brought up. If you're violent to the dog, it might be violent back. Are there breeds that need more care, that need more work, that if you're not a responsible dog owner, they're more likely to lash out?
No, I couldn't say there are, Raf. Not in my experience. I've been doing this for roughly 16 years. My business, Canine Services, has a reputation for dealing with a lot of dogs that are reported to have issues relating to aggression and predation, fear and timidity. So it's really my bread and butter, and I can't say that one breed presents more than any other for that reason.
And you mentioned that with this breed, I have to keep reading it because I can't get it in my head, German Wirehaired Pointer, that they're great, say, under the noise of a shotgun. We've got a golden retriever. She's hopeless with anything. She's trained as a retriever, like she's trained as a hunting dog. Surely some dogs have a better propensity for these things than others?
Yeah, Russ, so if I can just change one thing.
Yes.
In what you said, your dog's not trained as a retriever.
No.
the historical purpose of a golden retriever is to breed, right? I'm really glad that you bring this up. So there's been a peer-reviewed study that shows that there is as much variation between puppies in a litter of Dobermans as there is between one of those Dobermans and a Silky Terrier.
Ooh,
this is why genetics...
That's good research.
This is... Yeah. So there's... genetics are overwhelmingly, based on breed, genetics are a poor predictor of behaviour.
Right.
Okay, it's just the way that it goes. So I'll cop a lot of flack for this, but if you were to go to a German Shepherd specialty show, a national show, the vast majority of those dogs would never, ever, ever be able to do police dog work, despite the fact that the image that we have in our heads is of Rin Tin Tin and these Inspector Rex and these intelligent, bold, stable dogs. It's certainly not the norm. So the same is the case with retrievers. The same is the case with pointers. So on and so forth throughout the dog world. Genetics just aren't the predictor that people want to believe them to be. But I understand that to be that in these situations we hear these things, we can conceptualise the horror that this family is going through, and people want to look and say, what can I do to help predict and stop this and protect my family, right? Is breed a predictor? And it's completely human and understandable, but unfortunately it's very short-sighted to look to do that. Instead, people should, before the fact, people should be looking to what they do on a daily and weekly basis towards shaping their dog, towards being a well-adjusted, well-trained member of the community.
100%.
We see, you go out there into the community, Raf, and you see a great number of people don't train their puppies. Of the number of people that do train their puppies, it's incredibly common for people to go, if I'm to ask when people have problems with their dog, so did your dog do puppy school? It'll be 4 lessons at the local vet, and then nothing since then, and the dog's now presenting with problems at 3 years old. And there's a reason for that, because it's simply not enough. You wouldn't put your child through prep and feel that they were prepared to go on to their first job at 16 years old.
Indeed.
So family life is a very... Look who I'm talking to. You understand this. So family life is a very... potentially a very complex, difficult thing for a dog to navigate. The sights, the sounds, the level of stimulation if you've got kids in the house, and dogs do a remarkable job of that in our society, and typically do it with very little input. Now, you couldn't say that a lack of... I don't know how much training this dog had.
Well, look, clearly not enough, Brad, and look, you make some good points. I've got a lot of texts and calls in response. I want to thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Raf.
Brad Griggs, dog trainer and behaviour expert.